Hey folks, welcome back to Green Iron TV. We're down in the garage with the Army trucks, and it's spring here in Michigan, and what that means is weather is never that great. So one day it'll be beautiful and sunny, and the next day downright cold and rainy and wind. So matter of fact, here in 2 days we're expecting snow again. So I haven't been able to get the vehicles out and on the road anytime, because just about every time we get it nice enough and we'll get a little bit of rain to get the roads cleaned up, get all the salt washed off, we'll get another freezing smell come through, and the road commission here will run right out and salt the snot out of everything again, and we're right back to square one. So it's been this up, down, up, down, up, down battle for the last few weeks. And hopefully, after this next little bout of snow here, in a couple days, hopefully that'll be the last of it. We can get going. We can get the vehicles outside, get back on the road with them, and basically get the start of spring rolling for everything. So. But anyway, today we're going to talk about M-Series vehicles and what that means and the commonality. So that's one of the major things with an M-Series vehicle, is there is commonality amongst several items. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss those types of items here today on Green Iron TV. So let's start off with a little bit of a history lesson on M-Series vehicles, what they are derivatives of, and kind of how they came about, what the theory behind them was. So post-World War II, in the late 40s, the United States military had made the realization that they needed some commonality between vehicles, especially for some basic maintenance things, some basic electronic types of things, stuff like that, so that it helped ease the parts distribution around the world of the vehicles. So World War II was a big lesson learned on having the need to have to ship replacement parts worldwide, and having each vehicle basically having its own unique specific pieces, was a kind of an eye-opener. So in order to streamline the parts process, the United States military started what they call the M-Series of vehicles. One of the big things was upgrading from 6 volt to 24 volt, and then making commonality between a lot of parts on vehicles, so that things were nice and simple. The Army runs on simple. Let's face it. They like to make things complicated, but they run on simple. So there are a lot of pieces and features between all M-Series vehicles, basically all the way from when the M-Series really first came out in 1950, all the way up through and still currently used in military vehicles that are produced today. So other than a few things like the changes in the electrical connection, so we went from the Douglas connectors to the Packard connectors, and so some swaps on pieces like that. There's not a lot of difference in stuff. So the headlight on this M38A1, this is a 1953 vehicle. The headlight on this vehicle is the same 7-inch headlight, 24 volt, that is in a current Humvee. And this headlight will plug into that Humvee. And that Humvee headlight will plug into this vehicle, because that's a common part designation that they have done for over the years. Now, there has been, like I said, some changes on the connectors, but in basic theory, those two headlights interchange between vehicles that are 70 years part difference. So there's a bunch of other parts besides headlights and stuff like that that are common, and the for all the M series vehicles in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the 24-volt waterproof coil. It's basically the same coil for all those vehicles. It fits so many of the gas vehicles. It wasn't until the diesel vehicles that don't use a coil that it was really phased out. Even things like the marker lights, tail lights, turn signals. A lot of that stuff was very common. If it wasn't used on maybe, there may be some difference between a couple of the vehicles, but there was a lot of commonality between pieces, in that, maybe the bigger trucks used this type of marker, but all the big trucks used it. Or all the little small Jeeps used this marker light, but all the small Jeeps used it. So it was there was a lot of common things like that. And like we said, it was all to streamline parts availability and take the strain of parts delivery worldwide off the U.S. military. Also, things common between vehicles, things like instrument gauges, basically are all the same. They may be on a slightly different dash, but the fuel gauge is the fuel gauge, the speedometer is the speedometer, and it's the same amongst all of them. Plus, the light switch, so that's that common light switch, and a variant of that is still even used today in modern vehicles, or the modern military vehicles. So like we said, so we'll look over here in the 715. Basically, same style of gauges. There's that light switch, exactly the same light switch used in that. So, there's all kinds of common things. Typical things. So, like this mirror arm. This mirror arm is the same mirror arm as on the M725 ambulance. It's the same mirror arm. It's just mounted in a little bit different position, but which is expected because there's kind of sister vehicles. But it is actually also the same mirror arm that's on an M38A1. Your hood, your windshield standoffs are the same between the vehicles. The mirror head itself is a little different. A lot of the older vehicles had the smaller round mirrors, where later in the military they switched to these rectangle mirrors. And the mirrors are all the same. There are some variations, and that was just due to different suppliers that supplied to the military. And that is, so one of the things to think about is, the military also made it easier for suppliers, because all they did was they put out a specification for a certain part or piece or requirement, and they sent that out, and then there were several manufacturers that would produce that same exact part to the same exact specifications and supply it to the military. So, that's really just one of those things that also helped, spread parts amongst the vehicles. So really, what does this all mean? So what this means, especially to us today, is that parts availability on certain things, on certain M-Series standard parts, may not be as difficult to find as you think. And so everybody has their favorite vendors they like to go to. Um, especially vendors that may specialize in their particular vehicle. There's a lot of vendors like that. They kind of find their little niche of a vehicle, and that's who they sell to. But if you're searching for some of these common items, you can search beyond your vehicle. So, for example, the 715, the 725 ambulance, they are more unique vehicles in that they weren't produced over a great number of years. They were only produced for 3 years, from 1967 through 1969. Therefore, there may not be as many sites dedicated to parts for those vehicles, but guess what? There's an awful lot of common parts that you can find on sites that maybe sell to M38A1s or M37s, or even the big stuff, the trucks, the deuce and a halfs, the 5 tons. There's a lot of commonality, and what that means for you as a military vehicle collector is that it gives you the ability to price shop a little bit and search for that part in multiple places. And then you can kind of pick maybe who's the closest, who's going to get it to you the fastest. You got a blown headlight and you need one right away. Do you want it to come from a vendor, a couple towns over or in the same state, or do you want it to come from all the way across the country? All right. Well, if the guy all the way across the country is $5 cheaper, you might start weighing your options. Okay, well, I save $5, but it's going to take me 5 days to get it, where I could get this one and pay $5 more and get it. So you're weighing that price versus convenience types of options. But also, it allows you to find some of those hard to find parts. I know I'm on a lot of message boards and forums and stuff like that. And, there's always people asking, hey, where can I find this? Where's that? Where's this? Where can I find that piece? And guess what? Half the time it's a common M series part, that they're searching for. And, you just have to tell, you have to let them know that, hey, that mirror arm off a 715, it's the same mirror arm as an M38A1. So guess what? Search for the M38A1 mirror arm, and you're going to find it in several more vendors than if you're searching for an M715 mirror arm. So there's little bits and pieces like that, and a lot of that is just experience and knowledge from being in the industry for a long time. And so, that's one of the things I want to help push out to you guys, or help you guys with, is, the ability to look around and recognize M series standardized parts, and where you might be able to find that elsewhere. There's always a good chance. Now, there are unique items. Every vehicle has its unique items, especially things like body parts, sheet metal, canvas tops. Those are specific to each vehicle type of situation. So, yes, those are a little more challenging. You have to go to those specific sites to find them. But for some pieces, those pieces are extinguished. They're not available anymore. There just aren't any of them out there. But for common M series stuff, it's probably out there. Stuff like straps, tie down pieces, stuff like that. That's all pretty common stuff. Stuff like cargo bows. So like the cargo bows on a M715, so the corner cargo bow is the same cargo bow as M35 or an M54 5-ton. So they all use the same corner. So the only difference is in the width of the wood and the length of the stake. So it's easy to either make your own wood pieces or modify them from another vehicle to the width or height you need. Where like the M37, so that's got a little bit different bow corners, But those bow corners are the same as like a M101 trailer or the M105 trailer. So there's a lot of bows that are like that. So, and it's the same thing. The corner metal pieces are all the same. The wood length for the bows varies for units or for between vehicles. So, therefore, you can, if you have an M37 and you're looking for, the rear bows, and if you can't find any, you can also look for a set for an M101 trailer or M105 trailer, and you can modify those pretty easy to fit right on. So it's it's a really unique thing, but it was also a really smart thing that the U.S. military did. So by commonizing parts, and basically having one part number fit several vehicles, it really helped the logistical support of replacement parts being shipped worldwide to supply our military during the Korean War, during the Vietnam War, during the Gulf Wars, to Iraq, Afghanistan, places like that. Having commonized parts has been a big benefit to the United States military. So, all in all, it's a good thing that some of the parts are common. So, like I said, take a little bit of time, do a touch of research, poke around, and you'll find most of those common items are really easy to find. Well, folks, I hope that helps you understand M-Series vehicles and the need to commonize parts amongst the vehicles, and hopefully help you find parts that you need for your restorations or even just the basic maintenance to keep an old military vehicle running. There are so many of these out there that have not been restored, that are basically running around an old farm somewhere or up north cabin somewhere. And guess what? Instead of having to jerry rig stuff, there's parts out there that are pretty common between all the vehicles. So, hey, I want to thank you guys for watching along. I appreciate everybody that watches these videos. Please do me a favor, give me a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. That way you get to follow along for all the Green Iron Madness. Hopefully, fingers crossed, weather's going to get nice and we can get outside of the garage here and get outside with some of the vehicles, start playing with them again. I do want to remind you, take a moment, check out the link in the description down below for the Green Iron TV merchandise store. There's cool hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, all kinds of nice things in there. And I do appreciate everybody that buys from that store. It is really nice for you guys to support us this way. So, like always, I just want to say thanks and I hope you enjoy your day.